I've always wanted to travel the world, see the big, beautiful cities all over the world, and live long to tell tales about them. And so whenever I get the opportunity, I travel around the country to experience lovely scenarios, try out different cuisines, and see... And Suleiman, why are you looking at me like that?
No, you're saying all of this, and it's a Saturday morning, and you're just looking for what better time can you talk about leisure. And I'm just wondering, how many states have you been to?
I've been to a couple, which is what I was trying to say earlier. But there's this particular one, though, I've been trying to go to. Every time I make plans, something just keeps coming up, and it's the Calabar Festival. I've been wanting to experience that festival, and trust me, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for this year. Anything might happen.
We're in the season, and I'm just hoping and praying for you to at least have the opportunity to experience that vibe in Calabar. I mean, talking about Calabar Carnival. And just when you make up your mind, let me know.
I'll take you up on that.
But seriously, when we talk about tourism in Nigeria, there's a lot of potential. And according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, National Bureau of Statistics, that tourism contributed about 34% to Nigeria's GDP, generating up to 20% employment. That is talking about last year. And this is what we're talking about, looking for ways to diversify the economy, to shift away from that mono economy dominated by oil. And of course, our focus today will be on domestic tourism. What is there for Nigeria? And also, we're going to be playing back an interview we had with the DG of Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, and that is Mr. Folorunsho Koka, in the course of this program. Welcome once again.
Yeah. So get a cup of coffee, tea, or whatever it is you like to take, because we have an interesting lineup for you today, and I'm sure you're going to have a nice time with us. My name is Mercy Ohunene Ricketts.
My name is Suleiman Babajiao Usman. Let's head over to the news studio.
Thank you, Suleiman and Mercy, and you're welcome to the news studio. The 2019 appropriation bill is now ready for presentation to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari. This follows the approval of the general principles of the bill by the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
This is a special session of the Federal Executive Council. It was summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari to finalize work on Nigeria's 2019 budget. And for over 2.5 hours, members of the council thoroughly analyzed the provisions of the draft appropriation bill through a memo presented by the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma Udoma. Questions, observations, and suggestions were taken from participants, after which adjustments were made on the financial document.
The 2019 executive budget proposals were approved by the Federal Executive Council today, and they will be presented to the National Assembly. We will have to consult them in terms of the date of that presentation. We are hoping as soon as possible we will be in touch with the National Assembly because you know that they have to agree to the date that they would receive the budget. So we're going to be in touch with them immediately.
The medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper approved by the Council in October this year projects 8.73 trillion naira as the budget size for the year 2019. The amount is about 400 billion naira less than the 9.12 trillion naira revised 2018 budget. The 2019 budget is predicated on a proposed oil price benchmark of $60 per barrel, oil production of 2.3 million barrels per day, exchange rate of 305 naira to a dollar, and GDP growth rate of 3.01%. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has signed into law the National Open University of Nigeria Amendment Act 2018. This allows the institution to operate as all other universities, having the same powers, functions, and administrative structures, thereby eliminating possible discrimination on its products and programs. Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang, who disclosed this, however, told newsmen that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018 has not been assented to.
The President has taken decision in accordance with the powers vested in him under the Constitution, and by convention, that decision contained in the communication can only be revealed by the person to whom that decision is addressed. But the electoral bill has left Mr. President because he has taken his decision and has remitted it back.
It will be recalled that members of the political class in Nigeria are divided on whether or not President Muhammadu Buhari should assent to the new Electoral Act as 2019 elections draw closer. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has assured traders and artisans in Kwara State that the federal government will continue to encourage them to grow bigger in the business. He gave the assurance when he visited Ipata Market in Ilori, the Kwara State capital, to assess how the trader money scheme will be executed and to ensure that all registered traders get the money. Kemi Bisisani reports that the Vice President also paid homage to the Emir of Ilori, Alhaji Zulu Kamburi, after launching the scheme.
The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, who interacted with the traders, urged them to be patient with the federal government as it was not relenting in its effort to improve their lot through its enterprise and empowerment scheme. He said the scheme has already been launched in more than 25 states with 2 million traders targeted nationwide, while encouraging them to get involved. Osinbajo said this is the first time the federal government is involving the very bottom of Nigeria's economic pyramid for direct financial stimulus aimed at creating wealth within the informal sector of the economy. The traders in the market expressed gratitude to the federal government for the gesture. Vice President Osinbajo, who commended the Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, for upholding peace in his domain, said the federal government is proud of him.
We're very glad all the time that Kwara State remains a place of peace, a place where people can pursue their businesses, pursue their beliefs without any fear. And I think that this is a very, very good thing. This state remains one of the most peaceful.
The Emir thanked the Vice President for the visit and therefore urged the beneficiaries to make good use of the money.
I believe that he has not failed because may God continue to help your government and your parties.
The Vice President was in Ilorin, Kwara State for a one-day working visit to inaugurate the trader money scheme. Kemi Bisisani, NTA News.
And now to security matters. The Nigerian Air Force says it will not relent on its aggressive capacity building of personnel for enhanced professionalism in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's directive of restoring lasting peace in the country. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar reaffirmed this at the graduation ceremony of Basic Regiment Officers and Airmen Corps at the Regiment Training Center in Kaduna State. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports.
These graduates display combat proficiency in force protection in complex air and ground environment, combat evacuation, and effective response by regiment personnel in crisis situations. This is part of a deliberate policy to train personnel of Regiment Air Police and Intelligence Special Forces for complementary roles in base defense architecture.
On our part, we will continue to support the federal government's policies and continue to conduct operations ranging from humanitarian services, peace enforcement, to counter insurgency operations in furtherance of our national security and developmental objectives.
We've endeavoured to give you the tools to counter the threats the Nigerian Air Force bases and assets face.
The Nigerian Air Force is citing present administration support as motivation that has boosted the desire of becoming the best in the sub-region, which informs the new platforms, equipment and specialized training. From the Regiment Training Center in Kaduna, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
It is the position of the Nigerian Police Force that both appointments and confirmation of the Inspector General of Police be a unilateral power of the President. This formed part of the suggestion at the public hearing on a bill to repeal the act establishing the Police Force. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The bill, which seeks to repeal the Police Act 2004 and enact the Police Act 2018, has brought together stakeholders from all walks of life. The aim is to improve the performance of the force, considering increase in population, high rate of criminal activities, and the need to ensure modern techniques of policing in the country.
It is therefore suggested that the requirement for confirmation of the appointment of the removal of the Inspector General of Police be expunged from the bill, as to make the police less professional in its operation.
Every policeman has to be in the barrack or police quarters, which is very, very important. It's one of the problems we have today.
Police must be up to the task of protecting life and property, and do so without compromising human rights and the sense of community that hold us together.
It's commencing to ensure the placement of an enabling law passed by the National Assembly to make an enduring and sustainable legislative support for the Nigerian police force.
There were various suggestions for some clauses in the bill to be redrafted at the hearing. They include change of name from Nigeria Police Force to Nigeria Police Service, provision for single Deputy Inspector General of Police, and notice of intention to sue the Nigeria Police Force. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And now politics. Barely 72 hours after the purported endorsement of the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar as consensus candidate of the coalition of united political parties, the national leadership of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria and some political parties as well as presidential candidates have disassociated the position of the coalition, describing it as a mockery of democracy. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The steering committee of the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, had this Wednesday announced PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar as the coalition's consensus candidate. Barely 3 days after, it appears the centre can no longer hold, as some of the political parties are already backing out.
The CUPP did not appear to go by the provisions of the MOU, especially in the area where it was said 2 primaries will be held.
We feel there are 45 or 46 can never be traitors.
We do not believe in the ideology or the guiding philosophy of the CUPP. If 41 political party come to adopt article, does not affect me. But I believe that we're working hard.
All the candidates you see in presidential forum are candidates that believe in this country and believe in the continuity of the good jobs that the present administration is doing.
Similarly, the Social Democratic Party SDP, in a statement on the CUPP endorsement of Atiku, enjoined all its members, especially its candidates, to carry on with their campaigns. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
The Free to Shine campaign seeking to end the transmission of HIV/AIDS from mother to child has kicked off in Abuja. The event is a major step taken by wife of Nigeria's President Aishatu Muhammadu Buhari to actualize the dream of wives of African presidents of eliminating childhood AIDS in the continent. Momso Damian Detti reports.
This is a solidarity song to support wife of the president, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, to liberate African children from HIV and AIDS, and the What It Starts, the Free to Shine campaign. It is to drive the implementation of the decision reached by the Organization of African First Ladies earlier this year to transform Africa through prioritizing children adolescents and mothers and the fight against HIV. Here are wives of state governors, development partners, representatives of the Ministry of Health, other relevant stakeholders and infected mothers with adolescents living with the HIV and AIDS, including Florence Onu, whose life testimony reflects the picture of millions of victims.
HIV carries the face of women. The men that infected us used to be at our back. Most of them leave us, abandon us with our children to die, even though they are the one that infected us.
It is for such issues that Mrs. Aisha Buhari said there will be no relenting.
I believe that we have the resources. If the resources can be utilized judiciously, we will all feel comfortable living in Nigeria. Nigeria is committed to ensure that the vision, mission, and objectives of the Free to Shine campaign are achieved in the country.
Be assured that the United Nations system stands ready to provide our full support to ensure the success of this campaign.
Effective treatment is available, there's family testing.
The unveiling of the plaque, Free to Shine, and the inauguration of Wives of Governors as champions officially symbolizes the open war on HIV/AIDS in every state across Nigeria. Momso Damien Lati, NTA News.
That was Aisha Buhari at the Free to Shine campaign to end HIV/AIDS. Thimpai also wins first gold medal of Abuja 2018 as Team Ofioko faced Team Teach Vibes in 2018 NCC Tennis League final in Lagos weekend. Kene Emma Abudike has details on Sports Update.
Kelly A.B. Caleb of Bayelsa State has become the first athlete to win gold medal at the 19th National Sports Festival in Abuja after the cyclist led in the 200-meter sprint cycling race at Jabi Friday morning. Aziz Mutiu of Delta State won silver medal, while Asa Momo won bronze medal for Kaduna State. Meanwhile, the main bowl of the Abuja National Stadium has been cleared up after Thursday's opening ceremony ahead of the commencement of football, athletics, para-athletics and deaf athletics weekend.
The weather here is a bit crazy. It's good though, but it's hard catching your breath. So we need to getting used to before we run.
Well, I'm hoping to win the long jump because I'm ready and the confidence is there and I believe I will do it.
Team Tech Vibes of Jos will face Team Ofiku of Lagos in the final of 2018 Nigeria Communication Commission NCC National Tennis League weekend in Lagos. James Operakocha reports that the Jos-based team saw off their team leadway opponents in the second semi-final, decided in Enugu to reach this year's final.
The best Nigerian players are in this tournament and making NCC proud and making themselves proud, and because you could see the improvements that has come on year after year in this championship.
7 million naira will go to the winners, with the runners-up set to receive 5 million naira, while other participating teams will get 500,000 naira each. With Sports Update, Kenen Ima Abudike, NTA News.
That's the news at the top of the hour. It's back to Suleiman and Mercy for continuation of Weekend Deal.
Thank you, Jumai, for the news beat. And we cross over to the print media. And, of course, Mercy, you start.
Yeah, I have Saturday Sun with me and Saturday Independent. I'm going to be starting with Saturday Sun. Beside the masthead, we have PDP presidential campaign. Atiku Saraki, 7 governors hold talks with Wike in Port Harcourt. You can find details of that story on page 8. Below the masthead, electoral bill. Senators, opposition parties kick as Buhari again declines assent. Pages 10 and 45 tells us more about that story. As coalition against president's re-election broadens, Buhari's men raise alarm over ex-general's plot. That's the screaming headline. And we have 2 writers below that. Accuse OBJ, IBB, Gusau of criminal gang-up. They're only scared of defeat in 2019. That statement is coming from Atiku. Beside that, we have a picture of a lady, Chile B. She's an actress, and she says, "I'm not a lesbian. I only enjoy their gifts." You can find details of that on page 28. Just below that, Ex-EFCC boss Nuhu Ribadu bags Global Anti-Corruption Award. You can find details of that story on page 44. On to Saturday Independent. The screaming headline there says, commuters panic as Yuletide approaches. You can read up about that on page 18. There's a writer there, lament bad roads and fear loss of lives. Beside that, Electoral Act, PDP presidential campaign urges NAS to override Buhari. You can read up on that on page 10. Just below that, Super Cool Cats Ice Prince makes bold return. You can read up on that on page 20. We have a picture of the remains of Forte oil filling station that was raised at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Ikeja, Lagos on Friday. Sad. Below that, Yahoo ritualist targets women in Delta State. Now, you want to know more about that story? You can check that out on page 9. 2 stories below that, voodoo fight leaves students dead in Ekiti. And beside that, prisoners to vote in 2019 elections appeal court rules. You can read up on that on pages 10 and page 4. How I've avoided sexual harassment. And this statement is coming from Ann J. There's a beautiful picture of her there. You can find this story on page 23. Suleiman, that's what I have.
People pick that and read it up, they will learn more about that, given the fact that, sometimes people experience things like that. Okay, now we start with Blueprint Weekend. Just below the masthead, Ahmadu Ali, Hafiz Ring Game. Where are they now? Find out details of that on page 35. Now, Federal Executive Council OK's 2019 budget estimates. Details on page 4. Buhari has successfully lobbied sister countries against Boko Haram than Benue. Details on page 13. Now to the leading story, electoral law crisis. Buhari NAS face-off imminent. It has some writers here. Non-assent jeopardizes 2019 polls. Override President PDP tells lawmakers. He has demonstrated leadership, says the APC. New bill could create uncertainties. Details of all this can be found on pages 5, 6, and 17. Kogi loses 240 billion naira to illegal mining annually. Details are on page 9. That is coming from an expert. Deaf women to federal government employs sign language interpreters in hospitals. Details are on page 7. And on page 4, Buhari declines assent to electoral bill for the 4th time. What makes Kano unique? Details are on page 31. How I escaped Boko Haram as co-member Victoria Johanna. Find out details of that can be on page 27. Now to Saturday Telegraph, and I'm starting with stories just above the masthead. We have a feature story here. Kwara bought mishap. I had premonition. Something would go wrong. Man who lost wife, daughter. Sad. Details of that can be found on page 2 and 3. Boko Haram attack. Anger in military over missing soldiers. Details of that can be found on page 6. Now, before the leading story, Buhari rejects Electoral Act for 4th time. PDP asks NAS to override president. Lawyers disagree. Details of this can be found on page 8. Now to the leading story. Tinubu reorganizes APC ahead of 2023. Lagos ex-governor plans big for Southwest. I will work for APC, says Imo State Chair. Abiodun will defeat 38 other governor candidates in Ogun. A group, the statement is attributed to a group. Find out details of this on pages 4, 5, and 44. Now, ritual killing. 2 brothers on death row face retrial after 23 years in jail. 8-year-old victim in River after failing to raise 20,000 naira charged by herbalist. Siblings not properly arraigned, says the court. Details of this can be found on page 40. Now, Fatima Isa, I am not planning to get married to any actor soon. Well, find out why on page 14. Sean Kuti nominated for 2019 Grammy Awards. Of course, this one is coming under Best World Music category for his album Black Times. Now to Sporting Sun. Yes, a big one. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Local time 3:30 p.m. Battle at the Bridge. Sarri vows I won't pack the bus as Guardiola rules Aguero out of clash. Now, Manchester United lines up Pochettino as Mourinho's replacement. Details of that can be found on the back page. Unbelievable. Lacazette, Ozil, Aubameyang in drug scandal. Details of that can be found on the back page. A bit of Nigerian news here, Nigerian League news here. Heartland players unhappy with management. Katsina United snaps of Abia Warriors Bashir. Details on page 6. Now, Sandro renews with Juve. Details on the back page. Interview here. CSI Eagles exit ruined Moses' career. Serena makes Forbes 100 most powerful women's list. Details of that can be found on the back page. Now, Enacho Vadi inspires me. Details on page 2. And that's much we can take from the papers. Okay, is there any story that interests you from that?
Basically, it's the fact that the rate of ritual killings are really, going high. I guess it has to do with the season. So we just have to be really careful with our movements. And, wherever you're going, you just have to know where you're going to and be careful. Avoid late night movements. Yeah. I think it's safer to walk that way.
Yeah, you had that right. Let's take a break. And after that, we have a lot coming your way on Weekend Deal. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Like we told you earlier, we're going to be talking about tourism in Nigeria today. We're going to take you on a journey through our culture and traditions in Nigeria. And also, we're going to be talking about the economic benefits, the advantages, disadvantages of tourism. But first, we're going to kickstart with an overview.
Many developing countries have managed to increase their participation in the global economy through the development of tourism. Tourism development is increasingly viewed as an important tool in promoting economic growth.
Well, domestic tourism simply means people moving out of their areas of residence, normal residence, and spending more than 24 hours in another location, either for business or pleasure. So business tourism is the one that you're out of necessity made to travel, consequential on the job you're doing. Whereas pleasure tourism is the one you sit down and say, oh, I'd like to go with my family to witness the Calabar Carnival. And so you plan for it at your own expense, and then you travel.
According to available data, Nigeria recorded a total of 4,037,808 tourist arrivals in 2013, while a total of 649,468,486 US dollars formed the expenditure. Specifically, for instance, the Osun-Osogbo Festival in 2013 recorded a total of 21,713 domestic tourists, including 123 international tourists, while a total of 58,230,170 formed the expenditure. The Abuja Carnival in 2013 recorded a total of 19,015 domestic tourists, which includes 113 international tourists, while a total of 147,385,250 naira formed the expenditure. The Nigerian tourism industry has perhaps a greater potential than any single industry due to its multiplying effects to support economic growth and job creation. Also, the prevalence of several natural and historic tourist sites add to the sector's potential to become one of the effective generators of revenue for the country when fully developed.
I'm from Akwa Ibom State, for instance, and the last administration built a world-class stadium, soccer stadium. And if you've been following soccer events in Nigeria, 90% of international soccer games in the last 3 years have virtually been played in Akwa Ibom State at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. And that is a definition of sports tourism. So by just creating that stadium, you have brought in both international and domestic tourism to play in the city of Uyu, where the stadium is domiciled. And what are the benefits of having created such a stadium? You see that people that sell pure water, people that sell bitter cola, people that sell medicine, hotels, restaurants, bars, everybody becomes a beneficiary.
However, a critical evaluation and development of tourism in Nigeria indicates that the country's tourism industry faces socio-economic problems and structural deficiencies, which reduce the industry's efficacy as a tool for local, regional, and national sustainable development.
The main problem is not the perception of insecurity. The main problem is a lack of tourism structure. The main problem is a lack of tourism icons to be visited. The main problem is a lack of capacity to market yourself internationally and even nationally in terms of tourism. Those are our major problems.
Therefore, there is an urgent need to actively harness this industry's economic potential, with a view to enhancing its contributions to the nation's gross domestic product.
We need to copy what has happened in cities like Dubai, where 90% of what you go to see are made by man. And that's what some of us have been advocating. If you are in Abuja, for instance, let's start building things, even for domestic tourism. Let's finish our 25-story tower. Let's build a Ferris wheel. A Ferris wheel is like, they have it, it's called London Eye. They have some of them in some of the shop rides, you know. But there are big ones that can go to 25 stories high or 30 stories high. Let's build those things. If you have such a Ferris wheel, for instance, in Abuja, people will come from all over Nigeria just to go on that wheel. Let's build massive parks for children to play.
All hands must be on deck to identify tourist sites and develop them as part of our contributions to the development of tourism in Nigeria.
Interesting one there, of course. Okay, I'm sure you will agree with us. Yes, you will agree with us that we already have most of these, tourist sites in Nigeria. The essence or the emphasis must be placed on developing them, because sometimes if you go to some of these destinations, it's not habitable.
Yeah.
And this is one key area that we need to, focus our energy on.
Yes. It's very important. I visited a few sites here in Abuja, and it was evident that, due to lack of proper maintenance, the places were just isolated, and then they looked old, archaic, like people don't even visit those areas anymore. I just feel if a little bit more work, is being put into it,
yes,
it
and
could
that,
be
and trust
amazing.
me, Mercy, that has everything to do with packaging. Whatever product you have, if you don't package it well, it will not attract its potential, the potential customers that you are aiming for.
Yeah.
And that will lead us to our next feature, which focuses on packaging tourism in Nigeria.
Packaging.
With a huge population estimated at over 180 million people, with beautiful vegetation and landmass, Nigeria is a green area and an attractive market for domestic tourism. But tourism has been caught into the center of accumulated issues in the tourism sector, which has been in existence for over a decade now. No doubt, people think about many things and weigh all the pros and cons when making the decisions of tourism. Very often, people refuse to choose Nigeria as a choice destination which is worth to be visited. Have you ever been thinking about the hindrances? 1. Limited understanding of tourism. Some people think that tourism is restricted to the main tourist sites they know. To solve this, time and resources should be invested in educating the general public about the various components. Mass sensitization about the history, culture, and tradition, and tourist sites will go a long way to make people understand and appreciate what we have as a country.
I don't know whether it's lack of facility because I've never been there, so I will not say that they are lacking in that manner. But another thing is most places that you put the tourist attractions and stuff are probably farther from the people that really want to visit it. So you take off funds and transportation and stuff like that.
2. Inadequate investment. Every business entity will push money where they see viability or an opportunity for growth and development. To make our tourist sites attractive, government should appeal for aid from corporate bodies and stakeholders for investment in the tourism sector.
Analyzing our issue of like proper electricity, proper infrastructure development, I think the first thing we need to tackle is security, because if you're not secure, you can't have that rest of mind to be.
Good infrastructures and amenities such as potable drinking water, electricity, good access roads, and security, when put in place by government and stakeholders, will ensure tourists will be happy to travel down here and also recommend those places to others.
If government would have given them support, they'll be able to make it to be attractive for foreigners and neighbor that would have made Nigeria grow. We cannot only grow on oil alone. We will grow on those things that will make this country vibrant.
With proper use and maintenance, forecasts show that the sector can only grow bigger and bigger as it holds great potentials, and it will affect the Nigerian economy positively.
During the week, we had an interview with the DG Nigerian Tourism, and Suleiman, I think you anchored that.
In fact, you just saw a bit of it there with Thelma trying to introduce that. But we had an extensive, conversation with the DG, Mr. Folunsho Koka, or rather DG of Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, and he talked extensively about the challenges and prospects in the tourism sector in Nigeria, most especially the domestic tourism. So let's have a feel of that interview.
Tourism is commercial organization and operation that is synergized to highlight holidays, visits to places of interest. We all know that Nigeria has delightful places in different parts of our country, the south, the west, the east, and the north. But how do people, not from our country, and even those who are in our country, get to know about these places and enjoy themselves with them? And that's why we have the honor and the privilege to have a chat this morning with the Director General of the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, and the person of Mr. Folunsho Koka.
Thank you very much, Thelma. Hello, Suleiman.
Thank you for taking the time. When we talk about tourism in Nigeria, one might even start by asking, does Nigeria have tourism potential?
Definitely it does. The Statistician General of the National Bureau of Statistics released some figures last week where he said tourism and its associated industries or services is responsible for 34% of GDP and 20% of employment. Those figures in a $500 billion economy speak for themselves. If you divide it down into transportation, hospitality, entertainment, increasingly important creative industry of music, film, fashion, food, religion, the economics of oil industry, the buying power of Nigeria in terms of economics of trade, the economies of scale that Nigeria offers to traders around sub-Saharan Africa. It's a question of definition. It's sometimes limiting for the country when you think about tourism as in lying down on a beach, and that's where it is. But in Abuja here, there are digital entrepreneurs in the tourism space that have businesses that are based on social media, aggregating clients, and taking those clients to climb some of these mountains that you see around here. Tourism is important. Tourism is a business. Tourism is a business that you can invest in and has incredible returns. Globally, it's the largest employer of labor, more than the oil industry, more than manufacturing. It is it's ascribed to about, I think, 300 million people, strategically women and the youth. It's responsible for about $7 trillion in terms of global trade.
Are we harnessing what we have to the best of our potential and ability? Perhaps we can take it from that. Is there more?
There's a lot more. First of all, there's the issue of the corporate governance and regulation. That is the legal framework that governs tourism in Nigeria as a business. The laws are 40 years old. The federal laws are 40 years old. So the first thing we have done is gone to support the 8th Senate and the 8th House to repeal and reenact a new law. That law has already passed through Senate, approved. It's now in the House of Representatives, had its second reading, awaiting concurrence before it goes to the President for assent. Now, let me put it in context. You've had a 40-year-old car. All of a sudden, you get a brand new car with all the mods and cons of 2018. This law, I expect, will create an enabling environment in which the effect will probably be approximating what GSM did to 090, if you remember our analog systems.
At the tail end of last year, you actually granted an interview to one of the dailies where you said that there's something wrong in how we define tourism assets in Nigeria and how it can be used for business. Can you further enlighten us about that?
Who owns a tourism? What is a tourism asset? Who owns it? How is it held? The National Stadium and surrounding structures in Abuja is a tourism asset. Who owns it? How is it held? Is there a title to it? Can you use that title to raise funds to commercialize that asset that is sitting down pretty moribund? Do you have a legal framework that allows you to do joint ventures or create SPVs that can actually enhance that asset and bring better value to it? The Velodrome should be the home of music in the capital of Nigeria. How do you hold our tourism asset? Who owns it? Are they state governments, local governments, or private individuals? How can we better utilize what we have? The focus of NTDC has been domestic tourism, and that is highlighting the potentials of what we have and trying to encourage people to use what we have to the best that we can. You see, we all talk about tourism and we talk about the international. The international will always remain a dream until you have a solid domestic industry on which the international can come to rest. Look, you go to Dubai, you go to Jerusalem, you go to Saudi Arabia. All you're doing is connecting an international ticket to a very solid domestic industry. And that domestic industry doesn't necessarily have to be the huge international footprints of hotels. It's the cottage industry. It's the little places like this. It's the little gems, the little souvenir maker, the little restaurateur, the little film house, the little museum, the little cultural destination, traditions, and so forth, that we have such a richness in. I mean, if you look at the amount of people in Nigeria, 200 million. 200 million diverse cultures. Add the colonial heritage, add the resident populations of Indians and Lebanese, and most recently the Chinese. Now mix that up. The emerging culture is the unique thing that we call the arts that people want to move around to come and look at. If you, going back to a question you asked earlier on, one of the things that also needs to be attended to is the issue of human capital. What training do individuals, both in the private sector and in the public sector, have towards the development of tourism? Not only the training, what access do they have to the current best standards and technologies that allows them to harvest information and to disseminate information to people? And then you look at the flip side. It's not just about human capital, what my training is. It's also what is my return? What is my welfare package?
So who's supposed to work on that?
Tourism, as you earlier said, depends on so many factors. First of all, the image of the country. How easy is it to get a visa? What is your embassy experience? What is your airport experience? Is your hotel value for money when you arrive? Somebody can bill a hotel as a 5-star hotel. You get in there, you find a cup and a bucket in the bathroom. That's not 5-star. That goes to grading, but we'll talk about that later. So, you know, I must say something here. This is a great country. If you've been around some of the African countries, we've got tremendous infrastructure here. We are at times a little unfair to our fatherland in that we compare our infrastructure, current infrastructure, to what you have seen in London or Dubai, etc. We're not London, we're not Dubai. And our particular trajectory of growth is going to be a different experience. It's going to be something that is modular, is homegrown by us, for us.
And also those people who want to come from outside our country and enjoy.
They're not coming to look at our infrastructure. They're coming for the soul of the Nigerian. Do you understand what I'm saying? They are coming here. It's about the soul of the Nigerian. This exists in most places of the world. But when you come to Nigeria and you interact with the Nigerian that loves Nigeria, that likes being Nigerian, but maybe doesn't know as much of Nigeria as he should know, that is what attracts people here. And if you look at what I term the new mediums of cultural expression, our food, our film, our fashion, the special brand, especially of the Pentecostal religions in Nigeria, even our seasonal politics, this attracts people to Nigerians and eventually Nigeria.
Yes, when you came into office newly, your main task was to rebrand NTDC, which of course you introduced projects like Tour Nigeria. You had an acronym, Chief.
Yes, that was what I was actually running for.
Tell us about the success of this.
Chief Corporate Governance and Regulation. We're almost there with changing of a 40-year-old law. Human capital, we've been doing some digital training, which isn't the usual type of training. It's training by Google, Nigeria's affiliates. It's training by Wikipedia, Wikimedia Foundation. It's training by Jumia. Those people are bringing private sector knowledge and technologies to train I won't call NTDC a government bureaucracy. I will call it an emerging technology company in the travel space. That's part of the infrastructure that needs to be built. The tourism satellite account, that's part of the infrastructure that needs to be built. But I must say something. Every road, every power plant, every transformer, every security apparatus that the government has invested in for the life of a Nigerian is the same infrastructure that a tourist will enjoy. So all the expenditure for the life of every Nigerian to make it better also is an investment in specific tourism infrastructure. There's certain things we need a bit more in, but I think over time, when people start to understand the returns of tourism, etc., they will start to invest in it.
Just hope that you can photo it. Most there. Now let's go there. Give it the vibe. Give it the vibe. I want to rap.
Now don't show bad.
Mr. Wally, let's go there. Give me some
We have Nigerians often, especially when it's time for celebration, they find it easy to get visas and travel out of the country. From what we hear, that might not be happening so often in these days for reasons that many of us can identify with. What is at home? How do we get Nigerians interested in what we celebrate in our country, Nigeria? How do we get them traveling around the country? How do we get them enjoying our sights? Is that going to happen anytime soon?
That is happening. It is happening. First of all, we launched the brand Tour Nigeria. Tour Nigeria. Very simple. Tour Nigeria. Go around Nigeria. Get to know your country. For a lot of people, it's no longer a question of choice. It's a question of necessity. Your 365 naira will get you greater value per dollar than $1. I don't want to go through the McDonald's scale, but 365 naira will buy you a full meal. $1 cannot buy you a burger in most countries. We're saying Tour Nigeria. We've launched the master brand Tour Nigeria and a sub-brand called Nigerian Flavors. And we're saying Tour Nigeria and explore the Nigerian flavors around Nigeria. And those Nigerian flavors are in the flavor of how you are dressed, fashion, culture. It's in the food we have geopolitically. It's in the music. It's in the fashion. It's in the mountains, the delta, the ecotourism. I don't want to even answer that question. The figures in terms of the math that I have given you, I would like you to explore. Secondly, whether we like it or not, the digital world is going to disrupt your life, my life, the life of so many people. The biggest hotel in the world today does not own one hotel, it's Airbnb. The largest taxi service in the world is not Foley Coca Incorporated, it's Uber. Does Uber own a car? Do they own drive? Do they employ drivers? Do they buy petrol? Do they buy insurance? The future of advertising and marketing of countries, of activities is digital. The speed at which you can let people know what's going on is phenomenal. And the numbers you can reach, you cannot print enough pamphlets to get to them. What we are trying to do is aggregate a wealth of knowledge that allows people, I don't know what you like, but query the digital space where everybody deposits what we have here. I mean, you've been in Abuja 2 years, you can see the acceleration in every weekend there are 2 or 3 things to do. Where do you learn about those things? Internet. It's on the internet. And you go there, you see, I want to do this, I don't want to do that, this is what suits me. So Hashtag Tour Nigeria. Everybody is placing that hashtag Tour Nigeria, hashtag Nigerian flavors, advertising what they're doing. I think the hashtag is about 12,000 strong. Now, that's a lot of individuals and a lot of images attached to that hashtag, and it's growing.
Are you taking Nigerian flavor beyond Abuja? Has it gone around the country?
No, digital.
It is not necessary.
It is very necessary. Advertising requires funding, and funding has not been as easy as it hasn't been adequate. And we must understand where the country has been and where it's coming, where it's trying to go to. We cannot plant a seed in the morning and expect to eat a ripe fruit at night. So we must be patient.
You need money to tour Nigeria in a way.
Nigeria is your cheapest holiday. It won't cost me to tour 36 states of Nigeria. It won't cost me what it will cost me to tour 36 states of America.
Well, someone told me something recently that there are lovely places she would like to visit with her family and her friends, but she has come to learn that some of these tourist destinations do not have hotels, do not have living space. That someone could actually travel to one place, with family, bus full of people, and not have proper or adequate place to live and enjoy those sites with.
I totally agree with you. We have not invested what we should have invested. You don't want to drive from here to a waterfall and get there and see that the raging water you saw in the photograph is not there because they've been bleeding the headwaters for irrigation. You don't want to get there and it's nightfall and you can't see the spectacle. You don't want to get there and you can't find a little place like this to sit down, have a bottle of water, have something to eat. You don't want to get there and you're leaving. You can't buy a t-shirt that says I was at Owu Falls or I attended the Kano Durbar. Those are small investments that are employment and income generating for people. And that is where the strength of tourism comes in when it comes to employment. Those things have not been done. Now, apart from the destination that we are been gifted as a nation, this natural feature, you've got to aggregate. So you've got to find some other activities that you can encourage to come to that location that will have clean toilets that you and I can use comfortably, that will have GSM signal because we feel insecure when we cannot make a phone call that we're okay or take a selfie and post it. Whether we like it or not, that is the reality of today. Somebody would rather go to the mall than go to one of these our features because we have not invested in them. Can NTDC invest in it? We can't because we don't own it. We don't have also the resources to give grants for individuals that own it to invest in it. But these are some of the things that the laws are going to readjust.
So by the time we have this bill, this act in place, we're going to have private sector, coming into the tourism sector.
It'll give us the legal framework for us to be able to discuss with private sector entities and the owners of assets to say, come, we want to, marry you off together on this enterprise that is profitable for both of you. Right now, we're unable to.
Okay, now back early this year, around June, thereabout, Nigeria hosted the 61st United Nations World Tourism Organization Commission for Africa, and it has its theme, Tourism Statistic, a Catalyst for Development. Mm-hmm. How has statistics in Nigeria, because I know that this is one area that we have not really done well. We don't know how many people have visited Nigeria. We don't know how many, tourist movement really. How can this be developed?
For the first time, tourism statistics has actually now been isolated by the National Bureau of Statistics. That is a quantum leap. And, I thank the National Bureau of Statistics for this. For the first time, we have the origins of the UNWTO tourism satellite account. It's not a switch that you flick on. It's aggregating information from hotels, from immigration, from airlines, from banks, etc. The days of sitting down with pen and paper and interviewing people and counting is long gone. Most of this information is digitally available. We are sitting, well, all three of us are sitting here. MTN or whoever, the telcos know we're here. We're sitting down here because our phones are talking to certain cell sites. If we paid our bills here, the banks through POCs know that we're here. If we're foreigners and we came in through the country, immigration knows that we're here. If we bought a local ticket from Lagos to Abuja, the airlines know we're here. So most of this information just needs to be pulled together and, pulled through a sieve for tourism to know exactly what the statistics are. And the importance of the statistics is simply that we know what we're doing right, we know what we're doing wrong, and we are able to advise or adjust policy to take into consideration what will benefit the nation. I am optimistic for tourism in Nigeria.
I think many Nigerians are too. And I know you're focused on domestic tourism, and like you say, it's already making impact and bringing about lots of remuneration for the country and for citizenry by association. But we know that when people come from outside our country, they bring a lot for us that our people can also benefit from in terms of their purchasing power, in terms of seeing cultures that many may be used to. They see it with fresh eyes. Are we totally going to neglect international friends? If you focus on them, won't we be doing better than we already are doing, like you've already said?
If your house is clean, your food is sweet, and your disposition, is friendly, your house will always be full of friends. Let's get certain things right, certain fundamental things that the domestic tourism industry depends on. The international tourism, it's there. A lot of Nigerians in diaspora come in. A lot of Nigerians, a lot of foreigners seeking both business, economic opportunities come here. If you look at Abuja today, or Lagos today, or Port Harcourt today, how many non-Nigerians do you see? Why are they here? Whether we like it or not, they may be here for business, but they're not permanent residents. They're economic business tourists. Nigerians return home for short periods of time and return, though we don't count them as the perfect idea of a tourist, but they are here for a short time and they conform to the criteria with which we measure tourism. There's also religious tourism. How many people come here to pray? You will be shocked. Plane loads. I am a political tourist in Abuja. I'm not from Abuja, but I have.
Well, it's been a pleasurable experience chatting with you. We understand that the tourism sector, if fully developed, is going to be the Nigerians' new oil. We are certainly hoping to experience that in our lifetime. Yes, we have been chatting with Mr. Folorunso Koka, the Director General, Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation. Let's head back to the studio as Weekend Deal continues.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Olufunke Akindele, aka Jennifer Suliaken Ayituriken, aka Lefty Omo Get a Job.
Indeed, we still have a lot to do to, make Nigeria an irresistible tourist site attraction. We just hope the government will look into this area and, something good.
Yeah, and it's hopefully by the time we have the new act in place, it will take care of some of these gray areas that are talking about, security, transportation, and all of that. And then finally, you'll be able to attract the private sector to invest in deeply in it, because in other climes where tourism is really working, you find out that it's not really about the government. It's to do with the private sector, playing their part to ensure that the tourism is developed in those areas.
All right, we're going to go on a break now. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. The show is still Weekend Deal, showing on the largest TV network in Africa, the NTA. Now, still talking tourism. Wherever you travel to, it doesn't matter, you know, you can travel to US, UK, you can travel down to Nigeria, but wherever you know you decided to have this experience, definitely you would not leave food out of it. Food tourism is what we are going to be looking at in our next lineup.
When it comes to food, you see all smiles in my face, all because Nigeria is blessed with unique delicacies. Today, we will be studying these delicacies together. Let's go.
Nigeria is made up of several ethnic groups, majority of which are the Igbos, Hausas, and the Yorubas. Today, we will be learning some of the delicacies associated with these communities.
Did you learn something today? Yes, I did. Traveling is part of education. In case you take a trip to Edo State, do not forget to ask after this delicacy soup, the black soup. You will be glad you did. While I enjoy my food, the rest of Weekend Deal continues.
Okay, there's this, I don't know if there was white soup there, but I like white soup.
Okay.
And then eforiro. Did I get that right?
Yes, eforiro.
I like that a lot. But the best of the bunch is Eje Shinkafa Beezowe. You know what that means?
No.
That's rice, tall rice, and this bean soup.
Bean soup.
Yes, it's peculiar to my environment, and wherever you go, once you see a Nupe man, I'm sure you have that first.
That's the tuwo shinkafa.
Yes.
Okay, well, I love tuwo shinkafa too, funny enough, but I prefer with draw soup. But I think I'm just a rice fan. Anything that has to do with rice. Rice pudding, anything that looks like rice, pasta, But these days I've been taking a liking to Igbo soups, the oga, and the afang from,
once in a while it's good to be
Calabar.
adventurous with, your cuisine, the taste and all of that. And then, talking about Calabar, I know you're still dreaming and thinking about it.
I am.
Hopefully you get to taste a lot of that when you embark on that.
All
journey.
right. Still on food. This next one is tasty cuisine.
Are you finding it difficult selecting the right choice of food for your daily meals? Welcome. This is Tasty Cuisine on Weekend Deal. My name is Susan Adamu. Join us in the kitchen with my chef.
Today we are going to make one Italian cuisine called lasagna. Cookie cream here, olive oil. You have the broccoli, you have these lasagna sheets, and for marinating the salmon, you need orange and lime juice. You also have parsley. And this is the major item on the list. It's called salmon. We are using Norwegian salmon for this purpose. I'm making the preparation for the lasagna, the salmon lasagna. Start with the olive oil and add the red onions. After a few seconds, you need to add the bell peppers. So we have here the green and the red bell peppers. We're going to mix all together in a short while. So as you are dropping them on it, each item, you have to turn it and so we observe that we have not added the garlic and the ginger. We are going to add it very soon. As the broccoli. Add some butter, some cooking butter. So now garlic and the ginger. Then the salmon is going to come in now. Yeah, I'm doing the marinade for the salmon fish. So I'm adding all the spices. So I'm adding parsley now. You know, chop parsley on it. So you need to stir the marinade together before you add the salmon fish. Marinate the stuff all together. Then the salmon is going to come in now. Cook a little bit, then you add some oregano this time, and a little curry powder and cinnamon. So while it is cooking, we are going to start the bechamel sauce right away. So we are going to use butter. We don't need olive oil for this. We add cooking butter and some ginger once again. We add the cooking cream. So as that is boiling, we need to get this one turned now. Then the remaining marinade, you can add it to this. To make it more juicy. We are adding parsley to both the bechamel. The bechamel is set. You can switch off the gas. We are starting the last process of making salmon lasagna before it goes to the oven. We are going to make several layers of this. So we are ready to go to the oven to bake the salmon lasagna. We are baking the lasagna for like 3-4 minutes. The temperature of the oven is 220 degrees Celsius. The lasagna is ready to go. Yes, I was thinking I was tasting the food, so enjoying myself.
I hope you've been able to learn something new today. Join us same time next week for another interesting package. Have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, Susan, we've actually learned something, but what we did not learn is the spirit of sharing.
Lasagna.
But that was
something
that was
new.
really cool. Yeah, that was cool. And then I don't know. I'm quite adventurous. As long as something is well done, I don't care. I eat. Right? Okay. Right now we know that in Nigeria we have so many tourism destination in Nigeria, and of course. Abuja is one beautiful environment that you can come to, and have a wonderful, holiday or a nice time. So let's look around the federal capital city to see those places that will attract you.
Abuja is the capital city of Nigeria and is located right in the heart of Nigeria. Abuja is known for being one of the few purpose-built capital cities in Africa. It is also one of the wealthiest cities in Africa as well. Here are some fantastic sights to behold and numerous fun places to go in Abuja. The Magic Land Amusement Park is a place to go with family and friends for a great time, with exciting features like restaurants, leisure gardens, games, and rides for various ages all in one place. Jabi Lake Park offers an interesting outdoor experience for fun lovers and seekers. Situated in a city where aquatic life and experiences is non-existent, Jabi Lake is the closest thing to a beach experience in Abuja. You can take rides on boats, take your kids out for a fun family day, or simply sit in the shade with your favorite book. Jabi Lake is a major tourist attraction in Abuja, but due to lack of proper maintenance, it is mostly isolated.
I come to Millennium Park because it's always open to the public and it's usually very calm during the day and there's lots of shade under the tree, so it's a very good place to train quietly. That's why I come here.
Millennium Park is a cool hangout spot in Abuja and also the largest public park in the capital city of Nigeria. The park was inaugurated by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom on the 4th of December 2003, and it is located near the Presidential Palace. It's a lovely place for meditation, picnics, and outdoor fun.
Just bring the children here to come and catch fun with them. So this is like an activity that we do carry out every year. We do find a cool and relaxing place to take the children for. This for just extracurricular activities.
Because of the environment, it's very cool. Just like in my place, Cross River, there is a place we call Obudukatu Ranch. The environment is almost similar, so we prefer the park.
The Abuja Arts and Crafts Village is a center for arts and crafts. Located behind the Silverbird Galleria in the central business district of Abuja, it is one of the best hangout spots in Abuja, with lots of artifacts and handmade crafts that promote our culture and tradition. The National Children's Park and Zoo is located in Asokoro district, behind the Presidential Villa. For animal lovers, there is a variety of animals from wildlife to domestic animals to admire, making it a great sight attraction for lovers, family, and friends. Other things you can do while in Abuja are visit Zuma Rock, situated along the expressway connecting Kaduna to Abuja. You can also go shopping. There are tons of shopping complexes or malls. Visit the cinemas if you are a lover of movies. Try out various Nigerian cuisines in different restaurants or go clubbing. Abuja can be fun and exciting if you know your way around. Indeed, Abuja is a beautiful place to be. If you find yourself around, try out one or two of these few places mentioned. Well, we're heading on to Makurdi to check out their tourist sites in Makurdi.
State, also known as the food basket of the nation, derives its name from River Benue, the second largest river in the country and the most prominent geographical feature in the state. The state is endowed with vast natural resources, a diverse and rich culture with beautiful dances. Council for Arts and Culture is a parastatal in the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism that promotes the culture of Benue State through some of these festivals like the Kwahi Festival and through dances and drama presentations, dances like the popular Swange dance. The state also boasts of tourist attractions such as the Mka, Jatoaka and Kyogen Hills, the Ikwe Wildlife Park and Holiday Resort. A visit to the Gugu Waterfalls presents a natural and breathtaking environment. The Enema Biawam Springs in Orokam is unique for its water that comes from a cliff in limestone area. The Ikwe Wildlife Park, located at Gbo, is characterized by hills, running streams, and forests. We also have the Makurdi Island. It was actually the state government went into partnership with a private investor that also took on lease the Makurdi International Hotel. And what the investor wanted to do was that he wanted to develop the island alongside the Makurdi International Hotel, so that as people come to lodge in the hotel, they can also go to the island if they so wish. Benue State has a lot of festivals that also form tourist attractions. The Jaleku Cultural Festival, the Kwahi Puppet Theatre, which represents the supernatural beliefs of Tiv people, combines the Tiv people's love for storytelling, and these stories are woven around issues surrounding the people. This theatre combines drama, dances, and acrobatic displays.
The immense tourism potentials in Benue call for an exploration of them to be developed and harnessed and promoted to make Benue State a tourism.
Well, interesting feature there, and it's good to see the Swange dance, because this is one dance that is very unique to the Benue people. And then the puppet theater, that is one area that I don't think we have another, puppet theater in any part of the country.
Like it is.
Like we have in Makurdi. And then recently, the Information and Culture Minister, that's Alhaji Lai Mohammed, while talking in Turkey, where they're having the United Nations World Tourism Organization UNESCO conference, he disclosed that now their ministry is packaging a compendium of festivals in Nigeria, that we have 350 something festivals in Nigeria. That means we can practically host a festival every day and attract people to Nigeria.
That would be really lovely. I particularly love the Swange dance from Benue. Growing up, I used to do the whole dance movement, the snake. It was fun though. Why you laughing? I'm sure you don't know how to dance. That's why you're laughing.
What do we have next in the lineup?
Book talk.
Yes, book talk.
Yes.
And then we are actually looking at two very important books that was presented recently, which coincided with the United Nations Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women in the Society. So let's take a look at this.
Violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations in our world today. Unfortunately, it remains largely unreported due to impunity, silence, stigma, and shame surrounding it. To further drive home this message, Ishiba Development and Empowerment Center, a non-governmental organization known as the Architect of Positive Reformation, a bundle of monumental achievements, the courts across all ages marked this day on November 25, 2018 in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Beyond marking this day, Ishiba had a public presentation of two books titled Gender Dimension of Sexual Violence and Multiple Jeopardy of Human Trafficking by the founder of Ishiba Center, Evangelist Dr. Elizabeth Praise.
Actually want to present these books at least so that when men read it, they will see reasons why they should calm down with the women. And then when the women also go through these books, they will be encouraged.
This is a very good time that such a book is coming out. This is one book I encourage people to read because it has captured the essence of domestic violence. Most people think that domestic violence is just for the women. I can assure you it's not just the women. Even men are being assaulted, And so this book has captured the myths, what we think is not real and what is real.
In general terms, violence against women and girls manifests itself in physical, sexual, and psychological forms.
It has been divided into very simple chapters so that people can pick it chapter by chapter to read. It has explained to the layman out there what domestic violence really is as compared to what people think it is.
71% of all human trafficking victims worldwide are women and girls, and 3 out of 4 of these women and girls are sexually exploited.
Why we put this book down is so that you see what people have passed through, and if you are in such a situation, you can also pick courage and know that you must overcome.
It's a must-read book of people, young ladies, and even women should read this book because it helps us to do away with human trafficking and then how to avoid being victims of human trafficking. The gender dimension of sexual violence is a very essential book that is for every individual. In fact, you need to get it for everybody that you love. It's not just for the sexually abused people, but for everybody, so you'll be educated.
Violence against women continues to be an obstacle to achieving peace, equality, and development. Therefore, the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals, with its theme as to leave no one behind, cannot be fulfilled without putting an end to violence against women and girls.
Welcome back to the Weekend Deal Studios. And that was something violent. You know, we treated that topic a few weeks back. And like we said, and we're saying now, that is something that cannot be overemphasized. You have to learn to speak up. And we have to stop violence. You know, if you notice anybody's being violated around you, report or try to get the person the necessary help needed.
The point is, from our own point, is to keep emphasizing on it. Any opportunity we have, talk about it, so that at least there's not too much information as far as you know, stopping the violence against women is concerned.
Yeah. Okay. Up next, Speaker Box, and we're going to be looking at top collaborations in 2018.
Well, the interesting ones there, like beautiful songs, wonderful collaborations there. But there's one particular collaboration we looked forward to in 2018, myself and Mercy, because this group, Rude Boy and Mr. P, the year is still not ended. We're in December, so there's still time, hoping that we're going to see something
from them
in that line. Right now, let's take a break. After that, it will be time for the sports.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Olufunke Akindele, a.k.a. Jennifer Suliaken, Ayitoroken, a.k.a. Lefty Omogeto Joe.
Well, it is only fair to say that we have conquered the entire continent when it comes to women's football. But what we need to do now is to dominate the world whenever we are playing the international tournaments. And of course, we lost the first match and then ended up as the winners. And you can, see that determination, that zeal, the can-do spirit of Nigerians, and we're hoping that this same kind of spirit can be deployed into the tourism sector to develop it, to make it that new, oil that we are all talking about. From potential, we must begin to reap the benefits of that potential.
There's a whole lot to harness, there's a whole lot to develop, and there's a whole lot to work on. And hopefully, these things will be attended to, and Nigeria will become one of those places that people would always want to go to and have a nice time. I'm still looking forward to going to Calabar anyways, and I'm holding you.
Keep your dream
taking you
alive.
By your word.
Keep your dream alive. Okay, this is where we call it a day. Tomorrow we're definitely going to continue with this same theme, so join us bright and early.
Exactly.